Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70 Millimeter, a podcast for film lovers. Every Monday, I'm joined by famous artist Danny Haas.
I have never seen a prosthetic head look that good.
And spiritual advisor Protolexis.
Can anyone tell me what is going on in the Vietnam War where these guys, this dude is just tooling around, burning villages to surf? Like this is insanity.
And together as friends forever, we discuss recently watched movies. Shame Month rolls on this episode, where the movies we choose to talk about later are ones you'd be ashamed to admit you haven't seen yet. This week, Danny chose Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now. Is this war film overhyped, or does it deserve it all? Find out now. Many moons ago, on Amazon, I bought a $40 Blu-ray because there's a horror movie that is so hard to find, not streaming anywhere. You can't even rent it digitally. And we made the decision as a group of lifelong friends forever that let's go on a journey together. Let's buy this movie, Possession.
Mm-hmm.
One of the highest rated horror movies in the history of film on Letterboxd.
No way. You're lying.
Podcast Godfather, can you corroborate that? Bukes in chat.
There's no way.
I bought it. The plan, let me finish.
I'm here.
We planned on getting the Blu-ray. I'd watch it first, and then we would mail it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would eventually mail it to the villagers in the Discord. Traveling Blu-ray of the most horrific movie ever made by a Polish director. And Possession. So I watched it. I was blown away. 5 stars. Stunned. My wife and I were audibly gasping at each other, locking eyes during the film. I mailed it to Protolexis. Proto, what was your rating on that movie?
I gave Possession 5 stars. I was changed from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Your review was something else, if I can relay that to you right now.
I mean, if I can be honest, I stopped reading it because I stopped caring.
And then soon after that, Proto mailed it to Danny about 2 months ago. This past week, the review and rating dropped from Danny. Danny, are you ready to reveal to those who haven't seen your rating and review for the movie Possession, along with your dear wife, Casey?
I think I gave it half a star because I absolutely hated this film from the get-go. I didn't enjoy it. I thought Sam Neill was terrible. Is that the right word? Horrible? It was like watching a 15-year-old in a high school play. You know? Doesn't know his lines, just doesn't know what he's doing. This isn't his future.
Number 14 on Letterboxd for all-time horror, Matthew Buchanan has confirmed in chat.
What's number 13?
It's neither here nor there.
Listen, I hope it connects with more people.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't enjoyable.
What was the state of that room? You and Casey were watching it. I remember hearing a story about how you guys went to see The Lighthouse. And the mood in that marriage was not smooth. It was after that. What was it like after this movie ended?
Well, the good thing about this one was we were both on the same page with not liking this film. She actually gave it a higher rating than I did, with a 1 star.
1.
So, which is amazing that that's actually possible. I'm sorry. I really wish to have connected more with this. But I didn't enjoy it.
Honestly, Danny, this is the best thing that could have come out of this.
I know.
I have been tickled all week when I need a pick me up, I just think of you and Casey sitting in a dark room watching this movie together, and I just can't help but laugh. It's just a sweet moment that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
We should determine who gets the Blu-ray next. I'm leaning towards Dale, maybe, as
That's good because I already got the label on the box.
Producer at large, Emeritus Dale _A, co-host of the Bat and Spider podcast. He might be next, and then we'll see where it goes. I mean, we could knock out 2 people if we then send it to Chuck and Mel.
That's true.
In the Discord, Mel maybe gets the official handoff for the first Villager.
East Coast tour.
And then we see where we go from there. Well, I'm glad you were able to experience it. I'm glad we all experienced it. Mel does not even want it.
Thank you, Mel.
Chuck, you better get this house in order with your partner. Later in this episode, we're going to be covering Danny's pick for Shame Month, Apocalypse Now, Francis Ford Coppola's epic war psychological drama. And I'm excited to discuss that later in the show, but we have 2 big ones coming from Proto later in the show. Proto's going to announce his pick for next week.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of this episode. Proto's coming off a win for that Nacho Libre pick. He's redeemed himself.
Big win.
Mm-hmm.
The redemption of Proto. And not only that, but he's going to announce the next journey for us in Discord, our watch along.
Yeah.
During the next few months. Proto, did you watch any movies this week?
I did. I got back on the movie train.
Thank the Lord.
There's been some concern out there. Some folks on Twitter or DMing me, adding our account, concerned about where I was at in my Neon Genesis Evangelion journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I haven't done much laundry this week, so that's on pause. Don't worry. I will finish it. I have a few episodes to go. I'll get back to that. But I got back on the old movie wagon this week. I was able to relive a childhood movie, Beethoven, with my kids.
Oh my.
What?
You guys remember Beethoven?
Yeah. The dog?
Yeah, Beethoven the dog. It solidified in my mind once again that I do not want a dog. Thankful for that.
Half the movie is just that dog getting like wet and shaking itself in front of like the family, right? The hijinks that ensue.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The dad just coming home and there's his shoes are just full of like a slime, what's that comes out of a dog's mouth? Like the saliva ooze just dripping out of his shoes. Maybe that's why I've never had a dog. That movie just scarred me from a young age. Anyway. And then I got a little me time in and was able to watch another Kurosawa movie. I've seen Seven Samurai. I watched Yojimbo a couple weeks ago, and now I watched Throne of Blood, which is his take on Macbeth. It was, I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it, but it's really beautiful. And the way Kurosawa shoots a movie, it's just so compelling. You just know you're going to have a good time. And that's, I put it on, and as soon as it started rolling, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good time. And it was a good time. So it's a good movie. I recommend it.
3 stars.
3 stars. And then Jenna and I, we had a movie we watched together. It was her pick. 13 going on 30.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Jenna, close your ears.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem with 13 going on 30 is that it has Mark Ruffalo in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're a noted Ruffalo not lover. You don't like Ruffalo at all, right?
No. I mean, is he the worst? It's an open question.
It's him, or Hurt Locker. Whatever his name is.
Renner. Can you imagine having both of them in the same movie? Has that ever happened?
I don't know. Some cinematic universe.
Probably. Maybe. Yeah, but that was my movie week.
So can we get back to the Ruffalo? I mean, what is it about Ruffalo that you don't enjoys. It just sounded like he's quirky in the way he like moves his head around in his hand.
Is
Can't
the
act.
first thing.
Marcy in chat says, I'm leaving based on this comment. Gabriel
This is my
confirmed
truth,
leaving.
Marcy. Okay.
There's a show on HBO with Mark Ruffalo that I've been meaning to check out.
Yeah,
It's
I have
pretty
too.
Heavy.
Yeah.
What is-
Why would
that
you
may
watch it?
redeem
You
me.
hate Ruffalo. Why would you watch it?
Because it looked good. But
Redemption.
I don't want to be depressed for the rest of my life either. Because that's what this show looked
Nobody
like.
wants that. Caleb in chat, shut up, Proto.
Can we ban him?
Mel, have you seen Zodiac? WTF?
I have, but hasn't really stayed with me. Might have blocked it out.
I'm glad that you've been able to add some movies to the week. Very proud of that progress. And I appreciate the effort. Danny,
Yes.
did you watch any other movies this week?
I watched 2 other movies. I came across, oddly enough, I remembered that I had one movie on my watch list. The Italian Job from 1969 with our boy Michael Caine. And I
Never.
think that's the only person I knew from this movie. And I had seen the Mark Wahlberg one so many times because I actually really like it. That I thought that this movie was supposed to be a little bit more, not heisty, but dark and brooding. But it's actually pretty funny. Michael Caine was actually really funny in it. And the car chase scene is really cool. It's pretty much the same as the new movie, but I had a good time. And then I wanted to go back. I never finished my Universal Movie Monster watch from last October. And I finally got around to watching 1932's The Mummy.
Oh.
And it's a good time. 3.5 stars. It is a little racist
Uh-oh.
with some body paint on some of these
Oh,
white
no.
men. But
Man is the monster.
Boris Karloff is great. The sets were amazing. I just love this black and white 70-ish minute movie. Give it to me any day.
Mm-hmm.
How about Dirk listening live right now as his wife is giving labor at the hospital? Is this going to be the first ever live 70mm baby?
She's giving birth in labor.
Could this be the episode?
A crowning achievement.
How about Michael Caine as Austin Powers' father in the Austin Powers trilogy? Remember that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't
you remember
remember
that?
I don't remember that.
He was kind of a jerk. Remember they had like the big problem
I don't remember.
connecting? He was like, Austin was sad that he wasn't around.
The
and
more you keep saying it, I don't remember.
and Michael Caine was like, have an issue? Here's a tissue.
Nope. Not ringing a bell.
Wait, I wasn't paying attention. Are we talking about Tenet right now?
Oh, Lord.
Caramba. Every week we give away a free year of Letterboxd Pro. We're talking about Letterboxd, making fun of each other's ratings. Pro gave 2 stars to 13 on 30. Amazing review. And we follow each other. We have fun on there. See what everyone's watching. When we watch a movie, we see what our friends rated it. And you can win a free year of Letterboxd Pro just by sharing our show on social media and tagging us. And that gets rid of ads. It gets you a host of end of the year stat features. You can just view your stats at any time. My favorite feature is sorting a list to see where your watch list movies are streaming. So if you have Hulu, you can see what's on there, etc. Cheney Uffelman on Twitter.
My goodness.
Congratulations. Free year of Letterboxd Pro.
Ouch.
Tim O'Thief in chat says, I will be on Dune Pod in 2 weeks talking about Tenet.
Wow. That's a feat.
Some spoilers. Tim O'Thief in chat, he's in the biz. He's in the movie biz. So he's going to be on Dune Pod to talk about Tenet. I can't think of a movie that I'd want to talk about less
Rise of
than
Skywalker.
Christopher Nolan's Tenet. But we need to move on. Just a reminder, if you didn't win a year of Letterboxd Pro, you can sign up for a discount, 20% off Letterboxd Pro or patron status at 70mmpod.com. So by all means, support Letterboxd. Support the social media sites that don't make you want to pull your hair out. I just saw breaking news today that Neon was partnering with Letterboxd
Ooh, baby.
to stream 6 of their shortlisted documentary and foreign films for the Academy Awards for $20. So if you want to
Do
support,
they have the list out?
yeah. So I'll have a link to it in the episode notes. But you want to throw down $20, support Neon, the distributor who put out a little movie, Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
A little movie.
Ever heard of it? Ray in chat. Why is Dune Pod talking about Tenet and not Dune?
Ask their questions.
That's a good question. And Parasite. Yeah, Matthew adds in a little movie called Parasite. So we love Neon. We love Letterboxd. So why not support both? One movie I want to talk about before we get into Apocalypse Now, real quick. I watched a bunch of movies this week, but I started a movie this week on this movie, 1977, Suspiria. There was a modern remake that came out. It was okay. A lot of people throbbing over it. Total throb job. But I went and saw that the 70s version was streaming, so I fired it up. And I felt something in the core of my being when I started watching the first 20 minutes of this movie. And I stopped the movie. And I bought a Blu-ray 4K Ultra HD of Suspiria. This has, let me be clear, this has never happened before. I do not just stop movies
I don't believe it.
and
How far
buy
into it did you get?
20 minutes. And I said, I need this movie. I need to experience a restored version of this movie. The music, Goblin, this Argento cat directed it. He's like this big Italian director, horror stuff. The Goblin music in this movie. It's so, like, I was about to say it's so 80s, but it came out in the late 70s. It's about this dancer that goes to a famous dance studio and kind of hijinks happens with the people running the show over there. But I loved it. This is Proto. I might want to send you this disc, but it reminded me of Possession in terms of like the odd things happening. Not like that insane, but worth the watch. So if anyone wants to check out another odd movie, Suspiria, 1977. Dirk is asking, does Amanda know about this purchase? Dirk, please.
Why would you do that?
We're not trying to, cause trouble in this household. The PayPal account is top secret stuff.
Seriously.
What happens in the PayPal account stays in my DVD collection. But we need to move on. Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola. This is Danny's pick. This was the big one. I polled our Instagram audience and asked how many people have seen Apocalypse Now. 70%
Oh, nice.
have seen it.
Big one.
So it's a shame month. A very low percentage have not seen it. Pardo, can you walk us through this film that we'll be discussing?
During the Vietnam War, a madman is loose in the jungle. Captain Willard, a special operations agent, is sent by the Army to locate and execute Colonel Kurtz, who has gone off the grid and gone rogue, reporting to no one and broadcasting messages that question his sanity. Willard boards a river patrol boat that takes him up the Nung River to Kurtz's outpost in Cambodia. Along the way, Willard experiences once again the brutal horrors and surreal existence that embody the Vietnam War. From colonels set on catching the best surf to Playboy bunnies appearing in the midnight of the jungle. There are madmen loose in the jungle, and the apocalypse has come. The apocalypse is now.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end.
My gosh.
Proto slapped his ballpoint pen down after he wrote that one. Kind of strutted around to get that piece of chocolate as a reward. Danny, what made you choose this one out of all the movies that you could have picked for Shame Month? Movie that people would be ashamed to admit they haven't seen.
I'm not sure why I lean towards this so much. It's always been one. So I don't enjoy war movies at all, really. I mean, 1917 was a special occasion to watch a war movie. And that was amazing. There's something, I was trying to think back on what kind of caused my dislike for war movies. And I'm not sure what it was, but I feel like it was probably Saving Private Ryan. There was something about that film that I feel like, I don't know, I didn't enjoy it. It was too much for me and my brain. And I always feel like war movies, because I'm not a big fan of war. I don't know how many people are, but I'm quite anti-war and guns and all things like that. So,
Very bold statement.
it stresses me out, and war movies really stress me out. And so I just avoid them like the plague. So obviously this movie was never really going to be watched on purpose by me. And I'm kind of glad that it's taken this long to watch it, because I don't know if I would have appreciated it as much outside of having at least this podcast and people to talk about it with. I like Francis as a person and a director and a creative. I'm not a Godfather. I don't watch Godfather movies. I'm maybe have gotten 20 minutes into the first Godfather like 4 times before turning it off. Cause I'm bored, but, there's just something about this movie that struck me that I wanted to watch now. High ratings on Letterboxd, always popping up on
Through the roof.
Yeah, 4.4 is massive, it feels like, for Letterboxd. Yeah. And I just figured it was time to sit down and watch. I just watched Badlands with Martin Sheen, and he was incredible in that. So I was excited to watch him in this.
Ray in chat says, if you didn't finish at least 2 versions of Apocalypse Now prior to this, please leave this channel. Danny, how many versions of this movie did you watch last week?
I watched theatrical first, and then I watched the final cut because I wanted to make sure I got both of those finished. So I wanted to watch what Francis went back and re-edited recently. It was pretty recent, right?
Yeah.
Within last year.
Blu-ray release.
And then I watched the documentary, which was unbelievable. And then I started the redo or redux, however you want to say it. And I almost got to the end of it. It is quite long, but I couldn't fit both the final cut and the redo in the same day.
The amount of work Danny's putting in for this episode week after week.
Yeah.
You see the effort come through.
It's there. It's paying off.
Now, I think we had been listed as both having seen this. Pardo, you saw this before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This might have been a cable viewing for me.
Oh, my.
I'm not sure. I would like to know, I guess, Danny, you could tell us, what is the difference between the theatrical and the final cut? Because I watched the final cut.
Couple differences. Let me think. I didn't look up to see what exactly it was. There are just some scenes that are extended. So, the surf scene, when they finally, after the big attack and they're on the beach and they start surfing, in the theatrical cut, it ends without them stealing the surfboard. So, you know how they like hijack that one board and run off, and then they try to find them hiding under the thing. That's not in the theatrical cut. So little stuff like that, which I actually...
Is the Playboy bunny scene in the theatrical cut?
It is, yeah.
Because that's not in the final cut.
What do you mean?
Them having that like party with the gals at the show?
No, that's in both.
Yeah, that was in the final cut.
Yeah.
How was I doing? I didn't leave the room. I don't remember them having a party with the women in the final cut version. But the one point that I was going to make was the plantation scene. That's not in the theatrical, right?
No, the plantation scene is definitely not. Which was
get that scene out of my face. One of my main points was the plantation scene. I did not like the plantation scene.
Interesting.
In the final cut, I was so bored. It felt like such a coarse shift. Like overall, I loved their journey to find Kurtz, the crazy colonel who's off doing his own thing, murdering people. And I love their just like, dealing with being in Vietnam for weeks on this boat.
Yeah.
And the lead up to the plantation scene where they find these like French, settlers or whatever the hell you want to call them that are living there pissed off that this war is happening. And the mist scene where you come upon them with the mists like slowly dissipating,
Yeah.
that is some legit
Mm.
S right there. I thought they were coming up to Kurtz actually because it was so badass looking. I was like, oh, wow, we're getting here already. But so the plantation scene, I actually was so bored out of my mind. I wanted to go on. I was like, so I'm viewing this as like, Tim says you can call them colonialists. And I'm viewing in my head, that scene doesn't exist because that was like my least favorite part of the entire movie.
Mm.
I don't know. What did you think, Brodo?
It's a long scene, and it's strange how a portion of it, there's a lot of French dialogue, but there's no subtitles. So you don't even know what's being said. And you're kind of like Willard, just sitting there having no idea what's going on. I thought the conversation was fascinating, though. Like what they were telling Willard. I think ultimately what he says is like, you guys have the power to win. So he's not even telling them to like leave Vietnam. He was telling them like stay and win the fight. And that was just like so bizarre to hear at that time. I was like, whoa, dude, that's your take right now? That just seems so odd to me. But then the scene with the chick, I don't know. Does she have a name? The woman? He ends up
Frenchie.
Yeah, the Frenchie woman.
I don't think that's correct.
Like you be.
But
Before you say your point, Matthew Buchanan and everyone else who watched the Final Cut, am I going crazy? I don't remember the Playboy Bunny show scene.
You are
in the
crazy.
final.
There's no way there was less in the final cut than there was the theatrical cut, Matt.
It was there. All right. I don't know what the hell I was doing during that scene. I must have dozed off. for
dropped
10
your
minutes.
phone on your face again.
And in the redo, there's actually another scene with the Playboy Bunnies when they meet up. They actually meet up with them again before the French colonialists.
Oh, you know what? Because I had to watch this over 2 nights, and I watched the 4K Blu-ray, and when you're streaming, you just hit resume. You know, you're back to where you left off. But with the Blu-ray, I sound like an idiot here. You have to go back to the scene where you were. And if you're not hitting the right chapter, then I guess I probably just missed that when I went too far ahead.
Yeah.
User error.
User error on my part.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, what's on your list for this first viewing of Apocalypse Now?
The intro with Martin in the apartment before he gets his orders to go back to Vietnam he was mesmerizing. Like, I was enjoying watching him lose his mind, which was insane. I couldn't get over him. Like, there was something about him. I mean, I just said we watched Badlands and he was amazing in it, but I don't know this era of Martin Sheen's work at all. Young Martin. I mean, I love West Wing. We don't have to talk about that, but so like seeing him wake up and realize that he's still in Saigon and doing his dances and poses and punching the mirror and getting nude and bleeding and losing his mind and screaming. That intro to this film felt like this is exactly what this film's going to be. Just it was setting the stage kind of perfectly for what it was.
I'm still only in Saigon. Every time I think I'm going to wake up back in the jungle. When I was home after my first tour, it was worse. I'd wake up and there'd be nothing.
Like a weird trip.
Yeah.
Not like your typical war movie. I felt the same way. And I did watch the Heart of Darkness documentary. And the backstory of him filming that scene is just as interesting.
Right.
How he was like legit drunk. And, you know, they have in the documentary, they have like an extended filming of that scene.
Yeah.
Of him just going through the motions, almost like ad-libbing, them not cutting when he cuts his hand.
Yeah,
and he's
he
like
really cut his hand.
naked in that one scene where he's like in front of the bed. And you're just seeing like the raw footage of them just not cutting away and just seeing what they can capture in that moment. And that is some wild stuff.
Yeah, that scene's crazy. I feel like that's the closest I'm going to get to experiencing PTSD with the sound design in that scene, with him watching the fan spinning and he hears the helicopters and it was disorienting. And then when he opens the window and he says, you know, I'm still in Saigon. It's like, whoa, dude. It really communicated that so well, that feeling of being lost and confused, and what he, you know, someone in his position must experience to some degree. I felt that. Yeah, in terms of like setting the stage for what you're going to experience, I mean, it's up there.
I know I trashed my Blu-ray player because I picked the wrong chapter and missed an entire scene, but I listened to this 4K version on my Xbox, so I actually had my headset on, and the headset for Xbox supports Dolby Atmos. So I was listening to Dolby Atmos like on my Xbox headset, and that was some of the best audio of a movie I've ever heard. Where like there are some scenes where they're lighting a cigar, and I can hear the embers on the cigar lighting up. And when Kurtz was rubbing his head, his bald head, I could hear hairs on his like head growing back that you would hear with your hand like rubbing against a bald head.
Yes.
It was blowing my mind what I was hearing in my headset. So the whatever audio, I know that they called it out on the Blu-ray, the audio work that they did on this Final Cut edition, but it's wild. I highly recommend anyone listening to that.
Some of the scene, like, the things, the background noises, them getting off the boat, the engine of the boat, there was just so much to take in.
What's on your list, Proto, for this viewing?
I had trouble taking notes for this because I felt
I visualize you as Martin Sheen in the bedroom while this movie is playing. That's what you're doing when the movie is on.
I danced the whole way through the movie, be honest. But yeah, I felt like if I was going to stop to take notes, I would have been there. I'd still be watching the movie. There was just so many interesting scenes and things that were shocking, even small things. There were so many small moments. And one scene that I love is they're just on the boat and they come across this jet that's down in the river. I don't know if this was like a real jet. Did they build this? The scene is only like 30 seconds long, but it looked amazing as the boat passes underneath this jet and they're all just looking up at it. That was just I was able to take a note there because I was like, what? This shot is amazing. And it's so small.
The shot, I'm not sure if it was the same time frame, but when they went to that one site where there was no commanding officer and they're just cutting through and all those soldiers were trying to get onto the boat with their suitcases. They're like, take us with you, get us out of here. And they're seeing the downed helicopter in flames in the water. That is crazy looking as well. There's so many moments that put you almost in like the psychosis of being in Vietnam at that time where you almost feel like you're going crazy. Like anytime that Kurtz was speaking, some of the notes I wrote, like, am I going crazy right now? Am I also insane just listening to his like bantering on alone? So when I was watching the documentary, I was trying to see if any of the stuff that he said in this movie were scripted or if it was just crazy Marlon Brando just saying whatever the hell came to him. And in the documentary, they talk a lot about Brando coming in overweight as more than expected. So it kind of like forced them a little bit to change the ending or rewrite a lot of stuff. And the long takes of Marlon Brando just talking, and you can hear Coppola in the background almost like pushing him in certain directions. You never really see that stuff in documentaries. That's why I love this documentary. Like you see it in some things like Director of the Jedi, Danny and I were talking about earlier, but that insight into the making of this film is just as interesting as the overall film, in my opinion.
What is the bloodlust? The bloodlust. The bloodlust. They say, all the men that I've read about, they say that the human animal is the only one that has bloodlust. Killing without purpose, killing for pleasure. You can see light through this.
in the back to the Charlie Sheen, the Martin Sheen opening, hearing the quietness of him losing his mind, but Francis directing him, hearing Francis like call out some things to him. And it's so fun to be on that side of the movie after you've seen it and just to watch how it works. I mean, it's such a great insight to, Francis and Martin and what they're doing.
Are we the first podcast to ever do back-to-back movies with Albert Hall?
Yes.
In supporting roles.
We did it.
Malcolm X last week as Baines, and he's in this one as the Chief Phillips character. It took me like 10 or 15 minutes into his scene. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that Baines?
I did that today after watching the final cut. I'm like, why is he so familiar to me? I feel like I just saw him in something. And then we're letterboxed.
His scenes were so good too. His death scene, where he gets a spear in the back and he realizes it. And then he tries to kill Martin Sheen as he's dying.
With the spear in his chest.
The bullet through the spear.
My gosh.
Oh my God. War is bad. Okay? We're on the record. War is bad. This movie, can you imagine going through any of this stuff?
No.
And living through it and not being, emotionally damaged for the rest of your life after experiencing this?
There's, Albert Hall, but I was looking at the Wikipedia for this. The cast is already insane in this movie. But there's a section about the casting, and these were people that Coppola tried to get in the movie. So Steve McQueen, Jack Nicholson, Robert Redford, James Caan, Tommy Lee Jones, Nick Nolte, and Clint Eastwood.
I guess he pretty much had pick of people he could try to get after the Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah. But can you imagine Jack Nicholson as Kurtz?
There's an amazing phone call you hear him on in the documentary because Brando Brando's like threatening to walk off because of production being pushed back. And Francis is like, if Brando won't do it, I'll get Redford. And if Redford can't do it, I'll get Nicholson. If Nicholson can't do it, I'll get Pacino. I'll get anyone to replace him. I'm like, oh my God.
Also, any of those picks would have been legit.
Yeah.
They would have been insane.
Crazy.
God. This is actually the first time I think I've seen this movie. I might have, before Letterboxd, BLB, I might have marked this as log thinking it was Platoon. I think someone else said that in Discord this week. So when I'm sitting down to watch this, I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. Obviously, some of the scenes of, Brando as Kurtz and love the smell of napalm in the morning. Robert Duvall scenes. His stuff was so good, Robert Duvall. Yeah. My God, an Adonis in this film. And his character of being more interested in surfing, like he didn't want to help them at all. When he finds out that a named surfer is in Sheen's crew, it's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go surfing. That stuff was wild.
Can anyone tell me what is going on in the Vietnam War where these guys, this dude is just tooling around, burning villages to surf? Like this is insanity.
Yeah, Dale, producer emeritus of the show, is a huge Vietnam buff. So I know he was excited he bought the 4K Dolby Vision Blu-ray drink. And we were DMing back and forth. And he was going to try to send a letter, but I don't know if he was able to watch it in time. But he is a huge fan of, the history behind Vietnam. And I think Buke says Duvall won Best Supporting Actor.
Deserved
it. So his look.
It was also so weird. He had such a crazy juxtaposition to where he would be mowing these people down. But then he was he would help. I think it was in the extended as well, the final cut, where he took a baby from one of the ladies on the beach and helped her get to the hospital. And it was like, you just destroyed their village. And now you're showing compassion. It was just wild.
Yeah, the thought of being a villager and, I don't know what their understanding or, maybe they hear helicopters coming and going. They hear, just gunfights, but they've never been attacked. And then here you are, like you wake up one morning and here come these helicopters over the horizon and they just decimate your whole village for you have like no idea why. Like you're just there living your life. It's just complete madness. And to think of the confusion that must have just been experienced and the horror.
The sound, speaking of sound, for that scene was insane when they're coming across the water playing the music. And then it shows the village and the cutoff from blaring Wagner to nothing.
Oh, yeah, that was a
It
great
gets me
edit.
both times, but it's so perfect. It was like this, here come the cavalry, and then this peaceful village. I loved that so much.
Them stopping the one boat
Oh, my word.
during their, week's journey to get to find Kurtz, and Baines in that scene where he wants them to search the boat. They could be stashing weapons. The sense of dread that I had during the buildup of that scene, because it's ramping up.
Jesus.
Basket. Come, get out of here. Come on. Get over. Sheriff, check that vegetable basket. All right. There ain't nothing in here. What's in the boxes? Look in the tin can. Nothing. That rusty can. Just fucking rice, that's all. There ain't nothing on it. Yellow can. Check the yellow can. She was sitting on it. What's in it?
Baines is so, and I wanted to slap Baines, just like Martin Sheen and the one character, Chef. And they annihilate the people on the boat because she reaches for the Chef character because they're hiding a puppy. I was so afraid of what was going to happen to that puppy in that scene. I was ready to shut the whole movie off. The way they were grabbing that puppy by the nape of the neck, I was like, come on. Use two hands on that puppy.
Smack Baines. Can we get Lawrence Fishburne off the 60 cal, though? What is he doing back there with his 90 pounds?
We don't need him in charge of that gun in that moment.
There's
If
no
you're that
reason he's
trigger
back
happy
there.
to annihilate like 6 people who are just, shipping rice to a neighboring village, maybe let's all calm down.
My gosh.
It was insane.
Yeah, I love all the characters in this. I feel like, they represent a different part or maybe a different personality that you could experience. Or maybe even like stereotypes that are in war movies. But it just works so well because they were pretty well rounded. Even the Chef character getting on that boat, and he just it was like he knew something bad was going to happen, and he's just freaking out to begin with the scene. There's nothing here, man. That was great.
One of my favorite scenes that I have written down is with Chef, and when they get off the boat to find mangoes and the tiger scene, the lighting in that scene, I almost did that for the art because it's incredible with them walking through the jungle, and then the silence of Sheen hearing the he doesn't know what it is, but that tiger in the bush. I jumped the first time when it jumps out, and I knew it was coming, and I jumped again the second time. Like that was amazing. And then just them freaking out, and they run back to the boat, and then you got Lawrence Fishburne back there on the 60 cal just unloading into the jungle.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing back there?
The ending of this movie is probably one of the most disturbing I can remember in a movie that I've seen. They juxtapose Martin doing his job when you're not sure if he's going to do it. He's going to go after Kurtz and kill him with extreme prejudice. And this is juxtaposed with them, locals, killing
A caribou, yeah.
is it caribou, water buffalo? Literally killing and chopping up this animal on screen, just like Martin Sheen is doing to Kurtz. And it was very unsettled. Like, the last time I saw an animal being murdered in a movie was Cannibal Holocaust, when I watched that for the first time, maybe like 15 years ago. I don't know. Perdo, what did you feel about the climax of the movie?
I didn't love it. I actually thought the whole angle of how Martin Sheen offs Kurtz was kind of silly. Like, I guess it's supposed to be symbolic. He's taking these big hacks at it with at Kurtz with this giant spear with a machete at the end of it or whatever. It just seemed like, dude, he's a special agent, and this is how he's going to kill him. It just seemed like it didn't really fit. It was almost too stylistic for its own good. at that point. But yeah, even how that it ends there, and with him leaving, or almost, and also him kind of becoming Kurtz. You know, he is like now in Kurtz's spot with everyone kneeling down and him walking out and leaving. I couldn't remember if he was gonna stay or go, and I almost felt like the last frame of the movie hints that maybe he did stay. I don't know. Did you guys think that?
I didn't think that, but I can see that.
So I wasn't sure until the end, but I felt like he left with Surf Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, what did you think of that scene?
There is, I mean, I was already mesmerized by this movie by that point. Watching Martin and Brando together was pretty incredible. When they cut Chef's head off and throw it in his lap.
Woof.
I have never seen a prosthetic head look that good. The neck was still throbbing. I had to pause and go back. It was still throbbing. Like, it was gross. Like, they had just severed the head and brought it straight to Martin. And Brando,
An actor's sacrifice on a rail.
And Brando with that camo on, kneeling in front of him. I mean, this whole end of the film is so unsettling. It's shot incredibly. The contrast with how dark it is. It reminded me of the running scene in the city of in 1917, where it's just being lit by very little light.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When Surf Boy is, I think I had written down, how did they know where they were going to be to get mail to them in the middle of nowhere at this one bridge, just to get a mail drop? That was incredible.
Right.
But then Lawrence Fishburne's character, he gets a cassette tape recording from his mom.
Oh,
And he's listening to it on the boat before they get attacked. And then the surfing guy lights that incredible flare that they
Oh
have.
my
The
God.
smoke in this movie made no sense, but I wanted it in every scene. The color that it and the emotion it gave was incredible. But so Lawrence Fishburne's death hurt the most, I felt like, in this movie. The Albert Hall's performance with him dying, and just the voiceover of his mom's letter to him as he dies was incredible. It hurt. Like, I could just feel this like emotion for a character that I thought was so annoying and silly the whole time, that I was like, damn, like, you could just really feel his death. And what bugs me is we get in the final cut. Is it final cut? It's all blurring together. In the theatrical, you don't get his burial. And they do his burial in the final cut, which I felt like was kind of needed. It was with the colonialists. But man, that scene really got me.
when he's lighting the smoke on the boat, and he's like doing the poses and stuff.
Yeah.
When that one flare or bullet or whatever the hell that is, when that comes through for the first time and almost hits the camera, I like jumped out of my seat when that happened.
Too.
It's wild how from the get-go this movie is crazy, but with each scene, it feels like it gets more crazy somehow. And at the end, you know, what's the craziest thing you can have? I guess human sacrifice, bodies, limbs all over the ground everywhere. Yeah. Animals decapitated in front of you.
I mean, its eyes staying open. The art just got dropped in the artwork channel. I saw it. For those live listeners that want to take a peek.
This movie was incredible. I couldn't get over what annoys me now is I have this itch to watch the Godfather movies because of Francis. I honestly don't know what else of his that I would have seen.
I just had his.
But visually, this movie is stunning. Like, absolutely stunning. I wanted to learn more about the cinematographer. But I just couldn't get over how gorgeous this film was. And I am only watching it in 1080p. But that final cut still looks like a brand new film.
Yeah, they did great on a restoration.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible.
I mean, you might have seen The Outsiders, Dracula, some other Coppola
Right,
movies.
Outsiders. Yeah, I mean, I have seen
The Conversation with Gene Hackman I recently watched for the first time. Oh, you're Captain EO.
that. Yes, I mean, Epcot was my life for sure.
Captain EO.
I need Disney Plus. Are you listening, Disney? I need that on Disney Plus ASAP.
I think I watched that on YouTube a couple of years ago, and that thing
I need you
is-
to careful with your words.
I don't even know what you guys are
What
talking
you're
about.
about to say, be careful, Matt.
That thing is something else. I remember watching I don't know if the making of is in that old ride.
It is,
Captain
the
EO,
intro,
where George
yeah.
Lucas and Coppola are, they're talking like they're making the next Star Wars with Michael Jackson and Muppets.
Proto's so confused.
There is no doubt in their mind that they are not making the next big thing.
Proto.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
After
Captain
the show,
EO.
hop on YouTube, Michael Jackson, Captain EO.
I'd rather not.
All right, my closing thoughts. I was all in on this acid trip of a movie. I felt like I also was losing my mind and was in Vietnam during this journey. I had no recollection of just about the majority of this movie. I mean, I even missed a scene that I have no recollection of, the Playboy Bunny scene. So I'm at 4.5 stars for Apocalypse Now. I thought it was an absolute experience to sit and watch this movie. So I get where the hype is, IMO.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Proto?
There was two things I just wanted to go over before I give my rating. So this is called Apocalypse Now, and it feels like the apocalypse. I think there's even some hints at that. And I couldn't help think of, while I was watching it, the Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
That was like in my mind.
Mm.
And as I thought about that, they kind of show up in the movie. Where the one that's just so obvious is Robert Duvall's character would be the Red Horse of War, right? Like that is the scene about the Vietnam War, them riding in as the cavalry and just, blowing a town up, a village up. And then there's the Black Horse. For those that don't remember the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, there's the Black Horse, which represents famine. And I felt like that would have been seen in the moments where these soldiers are missing their home. They're missing their life that they don't have. So we hear letters from home. We see the Playboy bunnies dancing, like giving them a piece of their home that they don't have. And then of course, Clean's cassette with the letter from his mom playing. So there's like a lot of that where these guys just don't want to be here and they're kind of living in hell. And they're dreaming of the life they left behind. And then, of course, Brando and the character of Kurtz would represent death at the end, where he's just like surrounded by death. And like that's, what he does. And of course, there's the White Horse, which is said to be like Christ riding in, and the conqueror on the White Horse defeats death once and for all. So,
Matt, please.
yeah, Gandalf comes in, he kills Saruman, Kurtz's character, and then he rides out into the sunset. So I thought that was kind of cool. But, we didn't really get a feel for how anybody felt about Brando's performance. And I'll just take the brave step in saying I felt like the wheels kind of came off when he stepped out of the shadows a little bit. His body, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jokes about whatever, him being out of shape or whatever, but it was like, Coppola was trying to save it, right? By hiding him, not showing him, but you can see what's going on here. So I felt like that kind of, I just didn't buy that aspect at all. That was like the only part of the movie where it kind of fell apart for me. Just everything with him. I think like his performance was good, but the things surrounding it just didn't work. So
Did you know Brando was only 5'9"?
What?
He looks like he's like 6'5" in this movie.
Yeah, it does.
They did say in the documentary that Coppola tried to write around his presence, so to speak, on set, and
like a
kind of
giant.
add in scenes where, you know, he's eating, you know, cantaloupes or whatever, or there's just like he's eating like a king on set to kind of like explain why this seasoned colonel is not what your vision would be of that. But he refused those ideas. He refused to do them.
Brando just running the show over there. Yeah, so I think that this movie is amazing. I'll give it 4 stars.
Wow. 4
4 stars.
star proto rating.
For me, this movie felt like I was watching some sort of masterpiece when it comes to cinema. It was absolutely incredible. The performances, the color, the lighting. I honestly could have probably watched this film with just out dialogue and enjoyed it just as much because it's incredible to watch. I loved the music in this, the weird kind of synth.
It's like Blade Runner.
Yeah, it had the real like weird Blade Runner feel. And then, you know, each location had their also kind of like the Cambodian kind of music. And I was all in for this film. And I watched 3 versions of it this week. And so for me, it's 5 stars.
Wow. 5 banger.
I mean, did anyone think otherwise?
I know.
You never know. I mean, that caribou scene could take anyone a few stars down, in my opinion.
This is life for some people, Matt.
Water buffalo. I know it is. It's a life that I'm not familiar with. This is their life. You know, I'm trying to learn as much as I can. Thank you for choosing Apocalypse Now, Danny.
You're welcome.
Amazing art.
Yeah, it was a great pick.
Proto's pick is just around the corner. Proto has alluded to us that we have not seen his pick. All fair. That's all we know. At least we haven't logged it on Letterboxd. But we have to get to our voicemails. You can leave us a voicemail or an email or an audio file on your phone. Built-in app. It's pretty easy to do if you want to leave a voicemail. At 70mmpod.com. Who should we start out with here? We have a long one. Safe space. Gabe reached out to me, said he might have sent in the longest.
Oh,
voicemail in the
gosh.
history
Let's
of
get
this
it
show.
started.
So let's get into it.
Running out of tape.
Buckle up.
Hey, it's your friendly villager, Gabe, or Gab, or whatever how you want to pronounce it. First time caller here, calling in to profess my love for the village through an act of shaming myself in honor of Shame Month. Here to talk about the movies I haven't seen while taking a little Apocalypse Now break. I think I just needed to pause just to digest what is the pure chaos of a movie called Apocalypse Now. But other movies I haven't seen that I'm ashamed to say, so
Let us
please,
know.
don't tell anyone. The Godfather, The Grand Hotel Budapest, haven't seen that.
Oh.
Princess Bride.
Oh, my.
I haven't seen Parasite. Parasite. Haven't seen that yet. It's been on my list
That's
for
bravery.
forever, but I haven't seen it. Embarrassed. Mad Max Fury Road, 2001, A Space Odyssey, Pulp Fiction, When Harry Met Sally, part of the Meg Ryan trifecta, The Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, and Blade Runner, among many, many others. And I am deeply ashamed of that, and I'm blushing.
This is a safe
But
space.
yeah, I just
Gabe's only
felt like I
10.
needed to do that just to profess my love for the village. I've had the most amazing time on this little internet community. From day one, it's been honestly the most welcoming and kind of inclusive, just friendly experience I've ever had on the internet. It's been just so much fun. The best part has to be, without a doubt, the live occasional watch parties we do. I haven't felt that much joy watching a movie since going to the movies, which honestly can't remember what that feels like. It feels like a lifetime ago since I've been to a movie theater. But with that said, that brings me to the second reason I'm calling in tonight. My second favorite hobby after watching movies is, of course, procrastination. And I've been feeling that a lot lately. So what I decided to do was to go through the back catalog of episodes and make a little spreadsheet, a little
Oh my
data
gosh.
analysis or data analysis of the movies and the podcast episodes. So right now in the Discord, I'm dropping a link to the Google Sheet.
What?
And along with that, a little fun chart of all the hosts' rating from the past episodes up until last week's.
Oh my God.
So obviously we've had a couple or a few 15-star bangers on the pod, 4 of them to be exact. Malcolm X, Spider-Verse, Empire Strikes Back, which I know is technically a bonus episode, but I will allow it. And of course, 1917, all fantastic movies, top tier movies. But something I've discovered while doing this kind of research is that 5 movies, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, The Ten Commandments, The Rocketeer, and Nacho Libre, and Seven Samurai have all received 14.5 stars. Not only that, they have all been rated 5 stars by the same 2 hosts and 4.5 stars by the other same host. None other than Mr. Naked Hot Dog himself, your old pal Salim, has what I will call menaried these 5 movies and has caused them not to receive the 15 banger status. And now, to finish off my VM that's getting quite lengthy, is the most absurd fact that if you have watched every single movie on the pod, and if you listen to every single episode of the pod, let's say you're a 70mm completionist, that means you have spent a combined total of 200 hours of your life so far dedicated to 70mm.
Wow.
Many more to come, but so far, 200 hours, which comes out to roughly 8.5 days.
Holy cow.
Spent watching the movies and listening to the pod. So I think that's absolutely bananas crazy. But yeah, so that's a fun little project I had. If I'm sure we can find some more fun little tidbits in there. But yeah, that's it for me. I am rambling. Oh shit, I've run over my time. I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you again for the podcast. It's been just the most fun. It's honestly my favorite thing on the internet right now. And yeah, that's it for me. Peace.
My gosh.
Christ alive.
This spreadsheet.
Is Gabe a data scientist? Is
Who
he the
can
official
confirm?
VHS Village data scientist? Any other time I would passively aggressively poke fun at someone for leaving a 4.5 minute voicemail. But Gabe backed it up with that
Unreal.
spreadsheet.
Holy cow.
Carlo is glued to his monitor
I know.
right now.
Look at his eyes.
He is stroking his beard, looking at the data right now on screen.
It's fascinating. I like he has like our average rating over all the movies. So Slim is 3.7, Danny's 3.9, and I'm 3.5.
Holy
Wow,
cow.
close. I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow. Birth really brought us down.
How about the coining the verb menaried
Minari.
in the voicemail?
The 4.5 Minari.
And I think I broke the menaried. I gave that 4 stars on top of that this week. Amazing voicemail. I think I speak for all the hosts when we're continually amazed by the Discord and the friendships that we've made from doing this show every week. Another voicemail coming in. Let's see. This is a short one. This is 30. Oh yeah, look at this. Ray just posted 37 unrated movies for Danny that we've covered on this show.
I just forget to go back.
Technically, we haven't even used the 70mm account to go back and rate
me.
those movies. We have a lot of work to do.
Listen, we have one job.
Next voicemail.
Is a caribou getting sacrificed?
There be Captain Jogger's review of this week's movie, Apocalypse Now.
Oh my God.
Listen, just for people that aren't in the Discord, there is a secret villagers only channel. I think it's been renamed Possum Party. We don't know what's going on in there at any point in time. And I think that is related to what's happening in that channel.
Is that a possum
The show
noise?
mascot Joggers the Possum. The amount of merch, secret merch that dropped this week in Discord.
I know, my gosh.
Unreal. We have to get to...
Those look like wallabies.
Those are caribous. We have to get to the show producer, Emeritus, Dale_A. We mentioned him earlier in the show. I just waved to him in the studio. He made time to send this voicemail.
My dear, sweet 70 millimeter. Coppola says at the beginning of Hearts of Darkness that my film is not a movie. My film is not about Vietnam. It is Vietnam. The way we made it was very much like the way the Americans were in Vietnam. We were in the jungle. There were too many of us. We had access to too much money, too much equipment, and little by little, we went insane. And I think Apocalypse Now is just a perfect dissection of a whole lot of stuff that went on in Vietnam, not necessarily experienced just by one person, but through Captain Willard, we are able to experience all these different concentrated bits of absurdity that went on during the Vietnam War. Kurtz was eventually wanted for murder and went insane with power because he, like many others, knew how the war had to be won, but there were so many roadblocks put up by the Americans that they really couldn't win the war they were supposed to be fighting, not when the Vietnamese were so willing to go to such great lengths at any given time to just hang in there no matter what. Captain Willard at one point says R&R for the VC is a little bit of cold rice and rat meat. And I think that's a perfect statement when you think about that riverboat pulling up to this middle of this complete black jungle, and you see these huge risers with lights and an amphitheater built so American soldiers can have some R&R and relax for 3 days. And they fly in Playboy Playmates and entertainers, and it's just like, what is this oasis in the middle of nothing? And how is that helping? And, I obviously see how it could help American morale, but, it's just the absurdity of it all. Anyway, I'm sorry I went long, but thank you so much for picking this film. It's an amazing masterpiece. And, I can see you guys through the glass window here. Yes, I'm in the booth right now, but, I usually don't talk, but thanks for letting me have my time. I love you all.
Love you, Dale.
Amazing.
He's always here. He's always with us. Dale, thank you as always. Dale is co-host of my favorite podcast on the planet, Bat and Spider, low rent horror exploitation podcast with another dear friend, Chuck, in chat tonight. They just covered what's inarguably been called one of the worst movies ever made, Things. And they played some clips on that episode that made me never want to watch that movie as long as I live.
So that we don't have to.
It's time. It is time. Maybe we talk about the journey first. We do these. The first one was an alien journey that you came up with, Proto, in Discord. And you can join our Discord at 70mmpod.com, $4 a month. You get early access to episode discounts on merch. The print, you want to get that Martin Sheen print for 20% off. You can do so as a patron, or you can just buy it outright full price. But we have some new friends that joined this week. Laggy and Tim joined the Patreon and our Discord this week. What's next, Proto?
Yeah, so we finished our alien journey in February. That went from September to February. Watched 6 movies, 1 a month. And that was a ton of fun. A bunch of people joined in, watching them together. So we're going to do another one now. And in terms of where we're going to go, I watched a YouTube video a few months ago.
Oh my!
From a channel called the Royal Ocean Film Society.
What?
And they do video essays on there. And the one I watched is called Confessions of a Christopher Nolan Fanboy.
Oh, no.
And in this video, what he did is he just talked about Nolan and the movies that he makes, but he compared him to David Lean, which is a director whose career started in the 40s and then went until like 1980. And of course, he did Lawrence of Arabia, but he used the word spectacle. He said, Christopher Nolan's movies have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where they're almost detrimental to the movies that he makes. And he said that's what happened with David Lean in the same way, where his movies are these huge epics, spectacles really that are just larger than life. And I was fascinated by that, and fascinated because I had never seen a David Lean movie before.
Oh my.
So I did watch one of his movies. I watched one of his older movies called Brief Encounter last year. I think I gave it 5 stars. I loved it.
What?
So we're going to go on a David Lean journey.
Holy cow.
To see what is up with this guy whose his career. Yeah, let's see. It's, he has movies, I think, from the 40s.
Dr. Zhivago. Ever heard of it?
Dr. Zhivago. So I've got 5 movies lined up for us, and it's going to kind of get a taste of his entire career. So one a month. The first one is from 1954, Hobson's Choice. So this is like one of his smaller pictures that you don't hear much about. But then, of course, the Bridge Over the River Kwai. Never seen it. Then Dr. Zhivago.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
And then we're going to jump ahead to his last movie, The Passage to India, and then finish it up with Lawrence of Arabia.
My gosh, what a journey.
Yeah. So I'm excited because, and this is these movies, some of them are over 3 hours long. So, it's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready. I'm committed. I want to see these movies. So I hope you will join me.
Join us on this journey. Watch at your leisure. You got a whole month to watch these one movie per month for these 5 months. And I greatly enjoyed our Alien journey. It was great to go through once a month to watch each of those movies.
Yes.
Again. I'm excited. Great job, Proto. Great. Are any of these available in 4K Dolby Vision?
Oh, yeah.
Did you do any research on that?
That's the question. I don't know. I mean, Lawrence has to be, right?
Lawrence, there's got to be a 4K cut of that movie. But we're running out of tape. We have to get to Proto's pick for next week, Shame Month.
Are you ready? Are we doing it?
Oh, Lord.
All right. So my pick for Shame Month, movie I haven't seen before, we are going to tie with another movie for the oldest movie covered on this.
Oh my gosh.
We're doing 1927 Metropolis.
Oh!
Directed by...
It's finally happening.
Finally.
Post the GIFs. It's happening, GIF.
Holy cow.
This was Fritz Lang.
This was my other pick instead of
really?
Apocalypse Now. Yeah.
Good
Oh
heavens.
my
1927
gosh.
Fritz. This is streaming for free on the Roku channel. If anyone's got a Roku, you could probably watch it on the web as well for free. So there you go.
Metropolis.
No excuse to not watch it now.
Holy cow.
I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, this is an old movie. It's long. It's over 2 hours long. But people rave about
Shut
this.
up
So
about
I'm
this
really
movie.
excited.
They won't shut up about this movie. They will not shut up about Metropolis. You can tell someone who's going to film school, whether that be community college or otherwise, they talk about Metropolis.
Film nerds.
You ever seen Metropolis?
Life changing.
You ain't seen nothing yet. It's also on Hoopla for folks that use Hoopla.
Oh,
I'm excited.
Nice.
Great pick. What an episode. Proto, do you have any closing thoughts for us this week?
In the words of Danny, don't like war. love, peace.
We'll see everybody next week for Metropolis. $70mm is a VHS Village production and produced by Dale_A. Original artwork provided by Danny Haas and spiritual guidance provided by Protolexis. Prints and other merch are available at 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed and edited by me, Slim. You can support our Patreon for early access to episodes, discounts on merch, a physical membership card mailed to you, and access to our Discord to talk movies with other villagers. If you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount at checkout on the web using the code 70mm. Goodbye.